Hello, I'm Stephen Hustedde. I'm your instructor for CS 150AB, Programming Fundamentals or Object-Oriented Programming Fundamentals, and CS 156, Python Level 1. Here at South Mountain, we teach the two courses together as the same course. The reason being, for CS 150AB, we can use any language to teach programming fundamentals. I choose to teach Python as that language. And for CS 156, Python Level 1, I'm going to assume coming in you haven't had exposure to programming before. So we're going to start with those fundamentals. I've been a faculty member here at South Mountain for about 33 years. In fact, I've been teaching CS 150 for those 33 years. It was the first course I taught back in January 1990. A little bit different. It was programming theory back then. And we used GW Basic on IBM computers that didn't have graphics. They were basically green text only. I'm also the division chair overseeing most of our occupational programs. That includes all of our business programs, so accounting, marketing, entrepreneurship, small business, management, all of our IT programs, so web graphics, office applications and technology support, networking and cybersecurity, and of course, my area, programming and mobile app development. Our division also includes administration and justice studies, health and wellness and all of our PE classes, and our construction trades, which is electrical and carpentry. I also oversee or give general supervision to the library and our Center for Teaching and Learning. Needless to say, I'm pretty busy and I have a ton of meetings and I get a ton of email. I've been teaching Python for about 5 years, and Python is just simply one of many languages that are out there. It's a very popular language. In fact, right now it is probably the most popular language. But I love teaching C#. That's really what I do most of my development in. And so I teach beginning, advanced C# classes as well as cross-platform development for Android and iOS using C#. I also teach native Android development using the language of Kotlin and native iOS development using the language of Swift. Used to teach a lot of Photoshop and a lot of computer animation using Flash and Adobe Animate. But right now, with my chair duties, I'm pretty much relegated to just teaching some programming classes. So what's the popularity of Python? As I said, it's right now is the most popular language, and Python's used for a lot of things, including web development, artificial intelligence, things like facial recognition, machine learning, medical triaging, networking and cybersecurity, and even some gaming. It's also used a lot for automation, robotics, and embedded chips for things like dealing with the Internet of Things. Well, let me show you where you can find the materials for this course. You're going to log in to learn.maricopa.edu to get to our Canvas website. And Canvas is what we call Learning Management System. And this is where I'll make materials available to you and where you also submit your assignments to me. It's also a communication forum as well. So let's head over to the Canvas website. If you're taking more than one class at South Mountain, you'll probably see a link to each of your courses in the Canvas website. And you want the one for CIS 156, even if you're taking CIS 150AB. Again, these are both the same course. So once you log into that course site, you'll come to the home screen and just some information generally about the site and what you're going to find in the different areas. I'll run through those very quickly. You'll also see at the top of here when you log in the last 3 announcements made. So I haven't made any announcements yet in this course since we haven't really started it yet, but you'll also see announcements in this area here, and I will send an announcement at least once a week, maybe multiple times a week. The syllabus area will allow you to download the syllabus as a PDF. There's also a course schedule as a PDF. I'll talk about the course descriptive grading worksheet a little bit later. And then there's also a self-assessment grade book that you can use just to keep track of how you think you're doing. We'll talk about grading as we get towards the end of this video. So I encourage you to download both of those. I will go through those really quickly after we look at the site. There's an area for modules. And in modules, you're going to see some getting started documents, links for installing Python as well as various IDEs, and an IDE is an integrated development environment. We're going to use the one from python.org. This is the one I use for all my videos. It's called IDLE, I-D-L-E. But you're welcome to use Visual Studio or VS Code. Some students like those. They give a little more feedback sometimes on errors. If you've done Java programming, you might like the JetBrains or the Eclipse. Some course resources. I'm going to give you 4 different books to utilize in this course as PDFs. We're primarily going to use the Halterman Python book. That's our primary textbook for this course. It's very well done. There's also a Von Rossum Python tutorial book. Von Rossum is the person who created Python. Goal Kicker has some really good code snippets and so forth in it. It's got a lot of information. And then there's a practical introduction to Python programming by Robert Heinold. Sometimes I might send you these other 3 books because maybe something like TK Inter is not maybe in the Halterman book, but you might find it in the Goal Kicker book. But Halterman's going to be our primary resource, and then I'll give you the same sections that we're covering each week in these other 3 resources. So if you need some more additional information, you have those 4 different books to go to. There's also a cheat sheet out here that will provide a good reference as you're coding. I recommend printing that out and having it laminated because you'll probably refer to it a lot. There's a syntax resource and some other resources in terms of working with Python. I've done a blog in the past about programming skills and so forth. Those are optional for if you're interested. If you're looking for programming as a career, those are worth looking into. Each week I will give you a checklist. And the checklist will walk you through all the learning activities and the projects, and you should do those in order. So use the checklist as a checklist. Print them out, check it off as you go through those activities. Each week you will submit a self-assessment paper of how you think you're doing in your learning. Where are you struggling? And how did you do with each of the different topics of that week? As well as the projects I gave you, did you get them to work and did you get the right results? And you will submit those each week. All the projects that we're doing, there's 28 different projects that we'll do through this course. Actually, I guess there's 29 projects. And the references to each of those will be found here. So you can click on any one of these, download it as a PDF or view it on screen. And in some cases, you'll see some things indented. Those are additional files you'll need for completing that project. So it might be, in this case, a text file that you're going to include in your project that will read, the project will read from that text file. The course will conclude with you creating your own Python project, designing and creating that. In the assignments area is where you can upload your different projects. You'll see here week 1 reflection. You'll click that, start assignment, and then you will upload your file and submit it there. It's also a discussion board. And in the discussion board, some information about myself, and then different FAQs for the different areas we'll cover. So that's the primary areas for the Python course. There's also grades here. So when I submit a response back to you, you can read the response in the grades area. So let's take a look at some of these different documents that I've referenced, such as the syllabus and the schedule. I invite you to check out my Python playlist of videos. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos that I create, you can click my picture up in the top right and subscribe to the channel.